So this is my deal page. I'll have the links down below. It's just robtrek.com/deals. So robtrek.com will take you to this page. Or I'm sorry, it'll take you to this page here, Robtrek Picks. And so this week, the only memory card that I could find that was, it's not really even on sale right now, but it's the best deal out there for a 256 gig V30 card. And this is a great card for, general shooting and video, right? Up to 4K video. I wouldn't recommend this card necessarily if you do a lot of birding and extensive use of the Pro Capture, because the buffering is a little bit slow. If you fill up your buffer, like in the OM3 and the OM1 Mark I, it takes about 45 seconds to clear the buffer completely. Now you can continue shooting while the buffer's, clearing, but and that's one of the great advantages of the OM system cameras is you don't have to wait for the buffer to clear. But yeah, compared to say a V60 card, it clears like in 15 seconds. But yeah, this is the only thing I could find. Now this card goes on sale for about $3 or $4 less every other week. So I put this on my deal page because at $32 is a good deal, but at like $28 it's even better, right? So I put this on my deal page to just kind of be there just in case it goes on sale after the stream ends, like later today or tomorrow if it goes back on sale, because it's been at this price for almost a week now. But it's a great card. Kingston is a great brand, nothing to worry about there. And as you can see, it's got 4.6 star review. So I can attest to the quality of this brand in general. Even though I don't have this specific card, I have other cards by Kingston, and they've been terrific. So that is that. And then, okay, I got these. It's a little bit out of order, but this is kind of the deal of the day. This is a wireless shutter remote. I have mine around here. Oh, here. I have mine around here somewhere. This is the previous model, the TW283. Apparently the T9 is an update. I have a couple of these. I ordered another one, as you can see up here. $3.79. Now, this one comes with like a Sony cable and a Pentax cable. They put the compatibility down here. But the nice thing about this trigger is it'll work with any camera if you get the right cable for it. And for the, let me just make sure they didn't upgrade. Yeah, they didn't change the plug. It's still the standard plug here. But they tell you right here, shutter connections for different cameras, just change the line. It uses standard AAA batteries, so nothing weird there. And I have a whole tutorial on how to use the intervalometer functions on this trigger. But if you just want to use it as a remote trigger, it works great for that. If you want to use an intervalometer, like if you're doing astrophotography or time-lapse, it works great for that too. So I paid, gosh, like $40 for mine. You know, I bet if I put in what is it? Pixel TW-283. Yeah, 40 bucks. I think this is the one. I didn't buy this one specifically. I bought the one for OM Systems. But you can see they just come with different cables. So I don't know why this one is so cheap, but I ordered one. You know, because I have two of these, but I broke one of the triggers. So I'm just gonna have a backup because I never want to be without one of these. I have one working one. I want to have one backup, and for $3.79, definitely worth having a backup. Okay, so that said, you know, if you have a Sony, one of these Sonys or Pentaxes, you're good to go with this as is. Otherwise, you're going to need to buy either one of these cable sets. So this cable is a 3.5 millimeter jack, which would, oh, sorry. I don't know if you saw the, I don't know if I was sharing the screen, TW-283. So this is the one that I bought, right? 40 bucks. And, you know, I have a couple of these. I already talked about that. So now $3.73. This is a no-brainer. But if you wanted to work with your own system camera, your Canon camera, I mean, a lot of cameras, they just use a standard 2.5 millimeter plug. So you need this 2.5 to, or 3.5 to 2.5 millimeter cable. So the 3.5 will go into the end of the trigger itself, and then the 2.5 will go into the camera. So most cameras have 2.5 millimeter jacks, except for Sony. But since you're buying the other one for $3, if you have a Sony camera, you're good. You don't need to buy this. But if you have most other cameras, some of the older Nikons, they got specialized plugs. So you definitely want to check and make sure you get the right plug. But you can find the plug on Amazon that you need if the one you're getting is not the right one. The other cable option I have here is this one. This is just an adapter, 3.5 to 2.5 millimeter. So the male end here is 2.5 millimeters. The female end is 3.5. The reason I put this in here, because a lot of us have 3.5 millimeter jacks. They're just headphone plugs, right? So, or audio plugs. These are standard 3-pole or TRS 3.5 millimeter heads. I have a lot of those laying around from all the various wireless mics that I have. So you can get a couple of these, or you can just buy, you know, the cable directly. I think this is probably the better way to go. It's just to buy it directly. But if you do it this way, you know, it's an option, right? It gives you flexibility in the field. You just bring this and the other cable, and you can switch between 3.5 and 2.5 depending on what you want to do. Okay, and then this one here. So small rigs come out with a Nikon charger. This is for like the newer Nikons, but it's a fast charger, 18 watts. So it's going to charge your batteries pretty fast, relatively speaking. And it's kind of very compact, interesting design. And I love that it has covers. So you slide the batteries inside, then you close the caps on the end, and everything is nice and safe. So you can travel with this thing and not worry about your batteries touching. So it works as both a battery charger and a battery holder all in one. And it's, you know, it's 29% off. So that's a really, really good deal for a charger like this. Because there's other brands that sell fast chargers, you know, 18-watt chargers that cost twice as much. So this is a really, really good deal. And Small Rig's a decent brand. I mean, they do outsource a lot of their stuff now, but at least when they put their name on it, you assume they vetted the product to some degree that it meets their standards. And this looks like a quality product. I've never had problems with generic chargers. Typically, you know, like I buy a lot of $10 chargers, and I think I've only had one. I've had one that went bad on me, come to think of it. Maybe two, because I've bought so many, I can't remember exactly. But I know I definitely had one fail on me, but it was $10. So I just bought another one. And that was after a couple of years of use, you know. But anyhow, if you're a Nikon shooter, this is a good deal. And it's a great looking charger. Now this is another deal. This same charger sells for $40 on B&H. Here on Amazon they got it for $20, but now it's on sale for $10. So if you're a Sony shooter and you got both both of their style batteries, the smaller NPW50 and the larger one, the new NP1000, you know, whatever they call their batteries. You'll recognize these are the two most common used batteries by Sony. And you can charge either one in this charger 2 at a time. So it's a very versatile charger for Sony users. Has this really kind of cool display at the bottom. But you know, if you go to B&H and you look for Sony dual charger, it's not exactly this one. This one's a little bit more. But yeah, 70 bucks. Let's compare that to the original. I don't know, it looks the same to me. You know, compared to the Watson one. I just don't see any difference. These buttons are convex, whereas the buttons on this one look more concave. But I guarantee this is the same one, right? They had another one here. I'm not going to find it, but you get the idea. 10 bucks for a dual charger, regardless of brand, is a great deal. Okay, so this is a really great deal for Sony's. Okay, now the only two filters sets that I found this one, 49 millimeter filter set, 17 bucks, but there's also a coupon here for 15% off. So be sure to check that out. And let me fix one thing here real quick. I need to check. Okay, sorry about that. So this one here, so another 15% off saves you what, another $2 maybe. So you get this like for $14 or $15, right? And you get an ND8, an ND64, and a circular polarizer. Really, the only three filters you need, and you can stack them to get even more ND effect. And I've recommended the newer brand, you know, so many times. In terms of resolution and detail, you're not going to lose anything. The only area that these cheap filters, you know, this is a cheap filter, right? The only area that a cheap filter really might not perform like a high-end filter like K&F, you know, filters, is with glaring. So sometimes you get some flaring, you know, when you're pointing the lens into direct sunlight, you might get some reflections or flaring. Whereas a K&F filter or B&W, you know, those have really good coatings that they're less prone to that. You still get flaring and reflections, you know, it's glass, but it's minimized quite a bit with the higher end filters. But with this one, you know, when you put the polarizer on and you use a lens hood, or a lot of times I'll just put my hand over the lens, you know, like this as I'm shooting sometimes, if I'm shooting directly into the sun, meaning the sun is in the frame somewhere and causing a problem. But usually you can just turn your camera just 1 or 2 degrees and that flaring and glare is all gone. So, you know, instead of spending 100, 150, some filters are $300 for a set like this, you know, you can spend $15 and probably do 99% of what you could do with an expensive filter. Okay, I'm just going to go over a couple other things and then I'll go to the chat section. Now the the one we just looked at, the 49 millimeter thread one, this actually, there's a lot of OM glass, vintage OM glass, like the 50 millimeter 1.8, uses this 49 millimeter filter thread. some of the Sonys, like the 55 millimeter 1.8. Just off the top of my head, those are the lenses that I have that I know this will fit. But check your filter thread size before you order this. Otherwise, you'll need some step rings if you don't already have some. This is in the 67 millimeter filter thread size, so a little bit larger. There's a few OM system glass that'll fit this, I believe, and you know, again, same deal. But this one has a UV filter, a CPL, and an ND4, so it's a little bit different arrangement, and it comes with a hard case, which is nice. Hard case alone is worth $13. Okay. And so you can look at it either way. You're getting the filters free or the hard case free. I think looking at it like the hard case with some microfiber cloth for free when you buy these 3 filters. And you divide that out, you're paying like $4 a filter, right? So, or you know, $4.33 per filter. So you can't beat this deal either. This is a fabulous deal, and those are the only 2 sizes that I could find. Okay, now some odds and ends. Well, no, let's go back to, let's see if there's any other core items. The rest of this is kind of odds and ends, right? This is an interesting adapter. You can adapt your Nikon glass to a Leica M mount camera, which there's only 2. One made, you know, the one's made by Leica, and then the one by Pixie that I'm aware of, and then some really old stuff. But you know, and they have other adapters here, but the Nikon one is on sale. So, and Nikon has a lot of great glass in the F mount that, you know, if you don't want to spend $6,000 or $10,000 on a Leica Summilux or something, you can just use one of your Nikon glass, especially if you're using a film Leica camera. You don't really need that high-end super glass. You can just use any lens, really. Okay, but you know, I shouldn't speak about things I've never done. I've never shot a film Leica camera with a Leica lens, so I'll take that statement back. But still, I will vouch for the Nikon vintage glass is awesome. So $16, that's a good deal. And then this lens is hard to find. Like there's one left. But this lens will give you really, really nice swirly bokeh on your Micro Four Thirds camera, and it comes with the Micro Four Thirds adapter. I have this lens, and it's amazing. It really is. It looks ridiculous on the camera because it's so tiny. It's made for a CCTV camera. But yeah, if you want swirly bokeh, you don't need to buy that Helios or whatever that Russian lens is. Just buy this. This will give you the same effect, I'm telling you. And not and it's tiny. You can just put it in your shirt pocket. But it does give really, really nice swirly bokeh. They don't show that here because swirly bokeh is actually a defect of the lens, right? Optically speaking, lenses shouldn't have swirly bokeh. But because the image circle's small, when you get further out, you get this nice swirly effect because this lens was made for smaller sensors. And it says they're including 2 macro rings. I don't know. You can throw those away. I don't see the point of doing macro with a lens like this, but you can. Yeah, this is exactly what I paid for this lens like 10 years ago. Okay? So this is actually a bargain, even though it's not on sale. Number 1, they're hard to find. Number 2, this is a really good deal, even though it's not on sale. And it's a normal 25 millimeter focal length, so it works great on Micro Four Thirds. All right. And this is kind of an odd end thing, right? But sometimes you need an Arca Swiss clamp, you know, for your tabletop tripod or your stand or whatever. You know, I've bought several of these, not this particular one, but several Arca Swiss clamps for various reasons. They come in really handy to have an extra one here and there. As you get into your photography and start experimenting and doing different things, it's really useful. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now, but I know I'm using, I know I've used a lot of these and I still do. Typically, like, actually I got two of them mounted on my desk stand here, so I can do overhead, like when I do my tutorial videos, like I just did that one about flash. I was using one of these spare Arca Swiss clamps to mount my camera over the desk because the clamp that I had didn't have an Arca Swiss clamp on it. So you can repurpose a lot of things that weren't necessarily made for camera gear and use it, right? So it's kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, there's some odds and ends, some stickers for your Nikon and Canon cameras. If you want to cover up your gear, you know, give it a little flair, I guess. I guess it's supposed to protect the camera to some extent, putting these covers on them. I know a few people that have done that and they really like it, so that's why I put that there. I'm not into this, you know, I like the camera, it's just how it looks straight out of the box, but some people they want to cover their gear and protect it maybe, or just give it a little flair. Now's a good time to get a set. And there's a hat case. This is fake leather, but it comes in a lot of different colors, and they're all on sale for $8. A lot of advantages to this, which some are very obvious. It helps protect the camera, and also the base plate reinforces the bottom of the camera, so you're not screwing and unscrewing directly from the camera itself, any quarter 20 stuff. So I have some sort of full plate on the bottom of almost all my cameras. And a lot of my cameras have half leather cases like this. And I've always paid more than $8 for mine, so $8 is a really good deal. And then I think this was on last week. It's still on sale. Just ignore these, you know, ends in 13 hours. A lot of times, yeah, it'll go back to $79 for like a day. Then the next day it'll be back on sale for $63.99, which is what's happened with this thing. So if you want an entry-level carbon fiber tripod, because they are lighter weight and they're relatively strong, you know, for their size, this is a good deal. Where are you going to find a carbon fiber tripod for $63.99? Okay, then the OM3, of course, and we'll talk about some OM system gear. And all these tripods, I can recommend all of them at the prices that they're at right now. These are all really good. And this backpack is still on sale. This is a killer deal. If you want a semi-hard case, you know, large backpack, this is an awesome deal. And you know, Watkin here, however you pronounce that, they're a good brand. They make good backpacks. Entry-level backpacks, okay? This is not like a 20-year backpack. This is the kind of backpack that with, you know, occasional use will last you probably 5 or 6 years. But if you're an everyday backpacker, yeah, I would spend more and get you know, Low Pro or Tenba or some higher end bag if you're like an everyday backpacker. But for most of us, you know, occasionally we go out with a backpack, you know, once or twice a month. We want to carry a little extra gear. This will last you for years. Okay. And then, of course, all the messenger bags are a good deal. The Wandered is on sale. I love this brand. I'm going to get one of their bags one day. Not the bag, but I like their backpacks a lot. I think their backpacks are on sale, but this is not as good a deal as it was. This was down to $120 at one point, so I'm just gonna wait. But I love these backpacks from them. But this is a good deal on their 6-liter sling, and 6 liters is about the right size to carry your camera and a few lenses. You don't want to get this. Some people like to get like the 3-liter version to carry just a couple lenses and filters. But I want to put my camera in there, right? So you need a 6-liter if you want to carry your camera. And if you guys follow me every week, you have seen all of these deals down here. They're still on sale. And even though this is not on sale, this is an awesome accessory if you like to do macro work. It's just a snap-on diopter. I get about 1.5x magnification with my 60mm macro with no loss in image quality. And then, you know, filter rings and filter wrenches, stuff you kind of need. And that's it I have for Amazon. Those are the best deals I could find that, you know, I think most people would consider. I mean, this is a killer deal. I would, if I wasn't saving up for the 150 to 400, I would buy this. But because the other lens exists, I can't see myself spending money on this. Because you know, if you try to sell it later, you're going to get like 500 bucks, right? But I would say if I knew I was never going to buy the 150 to 400, I would get this now, definitely. But since I'm saving up for that, I'm not going to get it. But if you're never going to get that other lens, this is a great lens, you know, at a great deal. Okay. Now I can talk about it more. Let me close all my windows, otherwise my computer will probably crash. Let me go over to the chat section. And if you have any questions about anything, oh, and I'm sorry, I missed this. This one bag here, Mosiso is another excellent brand, even better than the Watkin brand that we looked at before. They're one of the most top-rated entry-level bags and backpacks that you can get on Amazon. And this is kind of a new bag from them. I hadn't seen this before, but this looks like an excellent, you know, weather-sealed bag. Great zippers. The zippers are all rubberized, lots of pockets, lots of dividers. So yeah, and I love the handle here. This handle is really useful, believe it or not, particularly for, you know, when you put the backpack in your trunk and you want to take your backpack out, you can just pick it up by the handle. It's so much easier than grabbing it by the top handle. So much easier to carry around. But like I said, lots of dividers, lots of little side pockets everywhere to carry stuff. And, you know, a little reflective strip here so you don't get run over. Lots of nice, thoughtful design. The zippers all have tags on them, so they're easy to pull. And I would forget about this little tripod strap on the bottom. Those are generally pretty useless. Oh, the strap is actually for... It looks like it has a waist strap. It does. They even have a waist strap there. That's pretty slick. So, man, if you need a backpack in this size, this is probably about a 20-liter, give or take. $67. This is a great bag. You know, the strap here, this waist strap here is not really a full-on waist strap system like a proper one that would actually help take the weight off your shoulders. It may a little, but I think the intent of the strap on this one is just to keep it more secure. So if you're on a bicycle or whatever, the backpack's not going to be flopping around on your back as you're making hard turns on your motorcycle, right? or hiking up a mountain. It's not going to, it's going to be more stable. But I don't think it'll help much with weight distribution. Maybe just a little. All right, so those are the deals that I found today that I think are worth your time and worth your time and money. I think those are all things that all of us can use if we don't already have one, or get a backup, backup to one, a backup tripod, backup chargers that you can take with you, and of course, all the other stuff. So let me just go to the chat section. I'm sorry. All right, so last thing I saw was something from Jeff, and Phaedon says, good morning, Rob. Wanted to get your opinion on Manfrotto Advanced Messenger Bag M3. I haven't ordered it. I ordered, haven't received. Wanted a bag to fit a build rig inside for run and gun shooting. Okay, so let me take a look at this. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Manfrotto. They've reached out to me a few times, and they said just pick anything you want out of the catalog and review it. And I just could not find anything I wanted to that I could recommend, right? Okay, so I found the bag here. So regardless of what you paid for it, right? Let's just talk about a few things, right? Because at this price point, I think you can expect high quality materials, excellent build quality, and construction. Those things I never question about Manfrotto, because I've owned and have I've owned I've owned a few Manfrotto products, backpacks, tripods, gimbals, a couple other things, right? Because they're a pretty big name in the photography world, and they're very stylish. And this is a great looking bag, so I'm not going to question any of those things I just mentioned. This is like probably a 20-year bag. This will last you a long time, right? Okay, so we have a flip over cover, top zipper, very nice. Full cover, I never use those. Okay, this gives me some perspective on size. Wow, all right. So it's a pretty big bag, because this is a full-on DSLR. Okay, I like that. I like this. This is good. I'm just giving it an overview, and then I'll deep dive a little bit into what I'm thinking. I wish I could see a little bit closer. Let's see if they have some other pictures down here. Nope. There's no way that bag is 16 liters. I was looking for the dimensions. Oh, here. 2.6 pounds. Well, it's pretty heavy, so it probably is. Protective adjustable messenger bag, 14-inch laptop. Okay, so, and the question was, I wanted a bag to fit and build a rig inside for run and gun shooting. Okay, if this bag is as big as I'm thinking, because I don't see the actual dimensions. Sometimes B&H has better. Sometimes they have a better description. Yeah, so 14 by 10. Yeah, it is a big bag. Well, that's the laptop Here's the exterior. Interior is 14 by 5 by 10. Okay, that's a sizable bag. But it's not very tall. It's 7.1 inch exterior, 5.1 inch interior. And yeah, same weight. All right. Maybe they have a lot more pictures here too. Yeah, that's just to give you some perspective of the size. This is a big bag. So there's really a couple of problems that I have personally with large bags is they get heavy. If you're going to carry everything in there, and I don't know what kind of gear you're shooting, Fade on Sight. If you're shooting Micro Four Thirds gear, this is way too big. This is way too big for that. But if you're shooting DSLRs and full frame gear and lenses, like even a mirrorless full frame camera, then you probably would need a bag this size to carry all that stuff. But it's heavy. I used to have a bag like that, but I gave it away. Something this size, made by Tenba. But that partially explains the pricing. I need another picture of the inside. Because they don't really... What did Amazon have? They didn't have great pictures either. All right, let's start here. I like the front zipper. Okay? The only thing you have to be careful of with front zippers is when you open up the flap and the front zipper is open, let's say you forgot to close the front zipper, anything you put in there is going to fall out. But I do like the front zipper. You just have to be really careful about closing it before you open up the bag, okay? But I like the front zipper. And it looks pretty well sealed. It's not a rubberized seal, but like I said, I'm not going to question Manfrotto's materials here. I'm pretty sure that's going to be pretty much weather sealed in there. And then we have a buckle down here, so that's good. Just a simple buckle to clamp, right? None of this magnetic or snap, because using snaps is a pain in the butt on a camera bag. So I like buckles. So the front of the bag I'm very happy with, and it looks to be very well padded as well. Coming around to the inside, yeah, you can fit a big ass laptop in there. Well, you know, small laptop. The only problem I have here on this side of the compartment is there's only 2 dividers, but they don't show if it comes with more dividers or not. And I can't really see what the dividers look like. Some dividers are better designed than others because they're collapsible and bendable and all that. And other dividers are like the typical ones, right? Where they just have one flap that bends over. But either way, 2 dividers is not enough, especially if you're shooting Micro Four Thirds. You're going to need to add more dividers, or you know, put all your lenses in lens pouches and things before you put them in the bag. So keep that in mind. Front pocket, pretty good. You know, some dividers in here to separate things. But it'd be nice if there was a mesh zippered pocket right here. It doesn't look like the front side of this flap has a zippered area. But generally, I like to see a little zippered area here in the front. And the reason being is, if you carry a lot of cables, like the cables for the you know, wireless remotes and microphone cables and USB-C cables, those are kind of a mess if they're just kind of loose down in the bottom of this pocket. So if you put them inside a mesh pocket or a zippered pocket, they stay out of the way until you need them. So they're not, you know, you're not like pulling everything out all at once like spaghetti, right? So I prefer a zipper inside. Okay, rain cover. front pocket. Like I said, just zip that close. You know, on my one bag, I stopped using it because I kept forgetting to zip it closed, and I lost a really nice filter because my filter slid out. And I know I've lost the lens cap this way because I'll put my lens caps in there, right? But I don't do that anymore. I like this. This is actually quite handy, right? A little top zipper. I have a bag like this with the top zipper, and I really liked it. I didn't think I would use it that much. It was actually was on that Tenba bag that I used to have when I had DSLRs because, you know, when I had DSLRs, I needed a big bag. And this was actually quite handy, so I like that. That makes a lot of sense on a bag like this, of this size, right? The tripod strap in the front, yeah, for a little tabletop tripod, that's fine. I've done that sometimes where I've carried, and it looks like it's Velcro in here, so you don't have to buckle it. You can leave it unbuckled. The question is, I have to see the other side of the flap is, can you cover the Velcro so you can have silent operation, right? So, you know, if you're at an event and it's a quiet time and you need to open your bag, I guess you can go in through the top zipper, right? If you leave the top zipper open, you don't have to pull on the Velcro. So maybe that's the workaround. But a lot of times bags will have covers on one of the sides that covers the Velcro so it doesn't make that sound, right? It doesn't engage the Velcro. What I used to do is I used to put duct tape over the Velcro because I didn't need the Velcro because I had the buckle. On my Temba bag that was this size, I had the buckle. So I said, if I want the flap secured, I'll just use the buckle. Otherwise, I don't really need to use the Velcro. So I put duct tape over the Velcro. Okay, the back strap, good handle on the back. This is important to have this little handle. Picking up the bag by the handle instead of the straps. Whether it's a backpack or a messenger bag, I always like to have a handle somewhere on the bag, aside from the strap itself. And a little back pocket here too, a zipper back pocket. So this is a good place to put your parking permits and site permits and things like that. Little pieces of paper right in there, or your cables. But I wouldn't put my cables in here. The problem is if you put cables or slightly bulky items in the back pocket, you know, it rubs up against your hip. It can be, you know, it can wear you out after a while. It gets annoying and uncomfortable. So the only thing I put in the back pockets typically are like pieces of paper and permits and just very soft items like you know, microfiber cloth, things like that. I put in the back pocket. All right. Now at this price range, there's a lot of alternatives, right? But if you like, you know, but they're all going to be about this price and this quality and build, and this is one of their nicer bags. In fact, if I think about it, I think this was the one bag I was thinking about reviewing. Out of all the bags that they had, this was the one I liked most. I mean, it's been about 4 or 5 years. This bag's been out a while. This was the bag I was thinking about reviewing because it had everything just right on here. The other thing, if you look at the side here, the straps are stitched inside of the bag. I prefer that much more than, say, the detachable straps because of, you know, one, the silent operation, but it's just a lot more secure and hangs off your shoulder a lot better when you have the straps, you know, stitched into the bag. So it's stronger, will last longer, and it's more comfortable, to be honest. So that's a good thing. So this bag has everything. The only two things I would knock it for is the, um, I can't really see the dividers, right? You're going to need more dividers, or you're gonna have to add dividers, or just use lens pouches and little things like this when you're packing it, because you can pack a lot in that bag, right? It's a pretty big bag. And because that's what I did with my Temba bag. I cannibalize dividers from other bags and put it in my Temba bag so that I could put more stuff in when I switched over to Micro Four Thirds. And then at some point I just decided I'm just going to get a smaller bag. I don't need to carry all this stuff, right? But yeah, it's a nice bag. I think, and this is a fair price for a bag of this quality, even though this is kind of sight unseen for me. I'm very familiar with Manfrotto in general, and the quality of materials, like the backpack that I had, was awesome. Awesome. I didn't like the design of that backpack. I did when I bought it, but then in practice, when I started using it, I hated it. I don't have it anymore because I gave it away. But it was like it was about $150 backpack. And anyway, I hope that helped. Fade on Sight with when you're thinking about buying bags. I hope that helped everyone. When you think about buying bags, there's a lot of things to look at and consider. For Micro Four Thirds, I wouldn't buy a bag this big. Unless you plan on carrying your 300mm f4 Pro, you'd have to lay it down on the bottom because the bag is wide enough, and then stack things on top using different kinds of dividers. All right. Good morning, Robert. How are you? God, I probably spent like half an hour on one bag. But I'm into bags. Bags and backpacks, man. I can't get enough. I feel I totally get why women have so many purses. All right. If you're a camera guy, you're going to have a lot of bags and backpacks, right? And Paul says, I'm looking for a travel lens for OM3 as I'm going on a walking tour of Europe, leaving my Z8 at home. Wide telephoto zoom, one lens for travel. On sale would be great. All right, so I think there's a really good deal. Okay, so I forgot to mention that OM Systems Outlet has, if you want to buy a refurbished one, and I'm not sure where you are logistically. I think you're in Australia. But OM Systems Outlet, well, let's just start at B&H, for example, right? What's it called? The 12-100. This is the do-it-all travel lens. This is on sale. And they probably have it at Amazon too. $1169. Oh wait, be careful. What was it? 1400? Yeah, you have to be careful. A lot of times these are like international. So what I like to do is I'll go to any lens in the group, right? I'll go to the OM System web page, and then from here, right, from this page, let me see, Shop OM System. So from this page, I will look for that lens. If they have it, they should have it on here. Here it is. All right. So if you do it this way, then you know you're getting one with a USA warranty. $13.99. So this is the lens I recommend. It's only $100 off. You can do it here, or you can buy it from let me do it this way. You can buy it refurbished from the outlet store. See if they have it. There's a lot of good deals in here too. I can go over some of these. Here it is. $8.95. So let me give you the link for this one. That's the one for eBay. Did that? Oh, it's too many characters. Give me a second. I cannot, I can't get the link in there. But anyway, if you go to eBay, you can order it here directly from the OM System website. So I think this is everybody's go-to lens for travel, and this is what I would recommend. And that's a great deal. I'm tempted to get that myself, but I don't really travel. I can usually carry my 12 to 45 Pro, and that'll do 99% of what I want. But the 12 to 45 is a good lens too if you don't have that. But you already have the 9mm, okay. But as far as a walking tour, the 12 to 100, yeah, that's the best. This is the best way to go. Okay, and why is the remote trigger that big? I would have thought they'd be smaller. Well, yeah, you know, you figure this much of it is for the battery, right? For the AA batteries, they go here. That's most of it. And then once you have that, you need space for the buttons and toggle. So I think it's about the right size. I don't mind it being this size. I did buy those remotes from 2 weeks ago that were on sale for like $15, and they work great. They're a bit smaller. These are smaller because they have their own internal lithium-ion battery, but they're not replaceable, right? So I bought these for $15 each. These are not infrared. These are Bluetooth wireless remotes, one for Canon, one for Fuji. I wish they would make one for OM Systems, because OM System one is $100. You know, and I got these for 15 on sale. They're back to $30 now, so I had to take them off my deal page. But if you were watching my stream 2 weeks ago and you needed a remote trigger for your Canon, Sony, Nikon, and Fujifilm, they were all on sale for like $15. So I bought one for each of the 2 cameras that I don't have triggers for. In OM System UK are selling reconditioned gear up to 40% off. Even with that discount, the lenses are still more than gray market imports. What are your thoughts on reconditioned and gray imports? Really, the way I see it is when you buy a refurbished from OM Systems, you're getting a warranty. Someone told me you get like a 1-year warranty, whatever the warranty is. It's 30 or 90 days. Let's see if they say specifically. So you get 30-day returns with a refurb, no question. You usually get that with a gray market too. You get a 2-year warranty with a refurbished product, so you're paying for the warranty, basically. Now, gray markets, sometimes they come with like extended warranties, 1-2-year warranties, sometimes they don't. And that usually dictates the price, right? Because they're building the price of the warranty into the product. But all things being equal, let's say you find a refurbished product that's not from OM Systems. They just call it refurbished, meaning they cleaned it, right? And it works. But they have refurbished products that have like 30 or 90-day warranties. MPB will give you up to 180 days or 6 months. And a lot of times, yeah, you can find it cheaper than refurbished products from OM Systems. But OM Systems is building a 2-year warranty into the price. So that's why it's more. But all things being equal, let's say it's a refurbished product with a 30, 60, or 90-day warranty, right? A lot of the gray market import stuff had the same thing, 30, 60, 90 days, right? And then I would just pick the cheaper of the two. And I would give a little bit of a premium to the import because it's new, right? As opposed to a refurbished product, which is used. So I'll always pay a little more for gray market than I will for a used product, depending on the warranty. If there's a much better warranty that's credible, like from OM Systems, I don't mind paying a little bit more for a used one. So you have to kind of balance, you know, the warranty issue. And that will dictate what direction I will go. Gray imports, I don't care. You know, if it's a gray import or OEM, like original manufacturer. But yeah, if I can get a gray market for the same or just a little bit more than a used one, I'll buy the gray market if the warranties are more or less equivalent. From there, I'll look at the warranty. Let's say they're the same price, right? Then I'll pick the one with the better warranty. Because usually refurbished products are fine, right? They're practically brand new, especially a lot of stuff that comes from OM Systems, eBay store. A lot of stuff is brand new. It's like open box. It was never used. At least the stuff that I've bought from them. I've only bought a few things, a couple lenses, I think, and a grip. I got a grip for like $30 one time. Brand new in the box. I bought a camera. Brand new. I bought 2 cameras actually from their refurb site. I bought a Pen F. It only had like 400 clicks on it from the refurbished site back, you know, this was a few years ago. So I've heard some people not get brand new stuff, right? And they were very unhappy because it looked really used. But most of the stories or things that I've heard is they usually get open box or very lightly used products with a 2-year warranty in this case. And Eric is here. Good to see you. And any variable filter in 67 or 72 you recommend under $75? Yeah, the K&F, basically. I'll show you one. Let's see if we can find a deal on one. So you want to, I assume you mean variable ND filter. Okay, so when you're shopping variable ND filters, you generally want to stay within 5 stops. Like this 2 to 400, this is 9 stops. That's a bit too much. Especially if you're going to be shooting wide angle. This one here, this is Wow, $93. Under 75. Let's just put that in. No. It's going to be tough to find one. Because if you're going to spend that kind of money, this one might be all right. It's not on sale though. This can go on sale sometimes. So let me open that one. KNF. No. Okay, that's another good option. All right, the only two that I see. Okay, and you said 72, right? Let's see if any of the 72s are on sale. ND. No. I'm just going to look at this one. I don't think I'm going to recommend that one. I think this one. All right, so we'll start here. There's two things. Oh, no, we can't. Oh, yeah, this one's fine. All right. There's two things here that made me pick this one out. All right, number one, true color. All right, if you're going to be spending more than $20 or $30 on a filter, you want to make sure you get true color, okay? That'll save you a lot of headaches in post-processing. Otherwise, you have to correct the white balance, and it's a pain in the butt. Every variable ND filter is going to have some color shift, but the ones that are true color have the least amount of color shift, right? And it'll give you a lot less headaches in post-processing and in the field, because in the field it's a pain to have to use a white card or a color card to match your colors up later in post-processing. The other thing is here is that even though it says it's a 1 to 9 stop, it's actually a 4 or 5 stop filter, because what they're doing is they're taking this this one filter, which is a 5 stop filter, the one in the back with the handle on it, that's a 5 stop variable ND true color, and then all they're doing is stacking on top an ND32 filter to make it 1 to 9 stops. So this is one of the best case scenarios. So you're getting a full 9 stops without any color shift, without any X pattern. Well, you might get an X pattern when you stack them. So you have to be careful if you're shooting wide angles, say 24 millimeters or wider, or 12 millimeter lens or wider. You're gonna have to be careful when you're trying to push 9 stops of ND. But for the most part, you're gonna be good with this filter. So I'll give you a link to this one. This one I think is a good deal. I mean, it's not on sale, but $52 is not bad for that filter. So that's one. And then this K&F one, this starts a little higher, 3 stops to 7 stops, but you know, I honestly, how much use is a 1-stop ND filter? You can usually just use a faster shutter speed. You know, 1 stop is not that much. So I like the idea of a 3 to 7 stop. You're not gonna have an X pattern. And where's the true color spec? Did I overlook that? Newer. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, this is the one I said maybe not. Sometimes it's not right here in the description. Sometimes it's down here. Yeah, no color cast and no effect on clarity. Okay, so they don't say true color, but it is in the description here, and I would expect that from K&F. This is a good deal. So this is an all-in-one, right? But you don't get up to 9 stops, but they're going 3 to 7. This is actually a more practical range for an ND filter, and it's variable, right? Now, if you know you need 1 or 2 stops, you know, instead of starting at 3, if you really need to start at 1, then I would get the newer filter. But this one is a little cheaper and it's more practical, and it's a more practical range, right? 3 to 7 stops. So I would definitely get this filter over the one from Newer, because this is a one piece in a practical range, and it's a K&F, and I know the quality and the coatings, the reflectivity, all of that stuff. This is an excellent filter because it's their Nano X series, which is basically the top of the line. They have a higher end series filter. I forget what it's called, but the only thing you get with the higher end is you get like brass filter rings and things like that. It's made of brass instead of whatever this is, probably aluminum. But for the glass itself, the optical glass itself is the same high quality Nano X glass. So I would get this one. So they have it in 72. Let's see, the 62 is not on sale. So this one you can get in 72, and then use a filter, you know, a step ring or something to get it down to 67. Sorry, you were looking at the 67 and 72. So I would definitely get this one. And it's 24% off, so that's a good deal. So I'll give you the link to this one. So this is the K&F. All right. And I'll add it to my deal page, because that is a good deal actually. So I missed this one. Okay, let's see. The Gray Vanzini says, I think I have the 35mm CCD lens. Fun lens. It sounds like the 25 is better quality. I wouldn't say it was better quality, but it definitely has more swirly bokeh effect. Much stronger than the 35, because I have the 35 and the 20. And the 25 has a much stronger effect. And it is actually a pretty sharp lens in the center. You know, out to the corners, it's a train wreck. But and Ethan, oh hey Ethan, how about a good bag for my large Mamiya medium format camera and 2 lenses? I would rather a cushion sling than a backpack. Ooh, so for my Hasselblad, my biggest bag fits it pretty well. Let me check what the dimensions are on my bag, and then I can find you a decent bag. That Manfrotto one we just looked at would definitely fit it. I have to. Let me see, bag. Oh my God, I bought so many bags. I'm going through my order history. So many bags. Oh my God. All right, here's the one. August 2024. One left at $35. So this is the one that I bought. This was on sale for $25, and it sold for $50 all day long. But this bag is pretty good size. So let me leave this picture up and I'll go get it and I'll show you. All right, so this is the bag, right? It's pretty good size. I mean, it's hard to tell because you know how wide angle lenses are. They make everything look much bigger than they are, right? But here's my Hasselblad with, and I have the Polaroid adapter on it, so it's actually a little bit bulkier than it would be your Mamiya, maybe. So inside you can see I put extra dividers in here because it's a little bit too big for Micro Four Thirds. But I can easily fit my Hasselblad in there. And there's still, as you can see, it's about almost 2 inches down into the bag like this. There's still room on top, but it easily fits in and out just like that. And then I have room here and here for even more stuff. So like, I don't know, what did you say, a couple of lenses? So this 8200 is about the size of a Mamiya lens, right? No problem right there. And then I can put another one in here. Like this Godox is probably about the size of a, well, this is probably longer than a Mamiya lens, but the diameter is about right. I got the dividers kind of not at the optimal, but there's the Godox V1 standing straight up. It's not folded, and you can see it doesn't go over the top of the bag, so the bag is tall enough too, right? So it's very tall. In fact, I put my 300mm f4 in here straight up. It sticks out a little bit, my 300mm f4, but that's that. So you can easily fit your Mamiya and 2 sizable lenses into this bag, no problem. And then, like I was talking about before, the Velcro has flaps on it so that I can cover them. I partially covered them because I don't need the whole thing, but these are really secure. The other thing is this bag has really big pocket in the front. It's expandable, but it also collapses down, right? And you can see the big Velcro patches here. But you can fit, my God, you can fit like You can fit like a whole nother flash in the front. Like that. Just to give you some perspective, if you really want to pack it in, you can do it. But then, you know, your bag is going to be ginormously thick like a backpack. But you can fit it all in. So that's that. And you know, it's a nice canvas material. I like the color. It's kind of a off green, beige, tan, khaki green. Okay, it has a zippered pocket here in the back. Right? So I can unzip this and put my papers, right? Show you papers. These side pockets aren't much use. I might stick, like, you know, my tabletop tripod in here. Like that. That's about all you can do. I think you can fit a water bottle in there, but it's tight because it's canvas material. It's not stretchy mesh material like a lot of bags, right? And yeah, so a handle. Straps are stitched into the body and they're cross stitched under here. Good cross stitching. And then, you know where you're supposed to put your business cards? I like to put the microfiber cloth. But inside, let me take everything out. So let me give you a link to this bag. This bag I think is perfect. It's exactly what you're looking for. Okay, so this bag also has a zippered pocket inside. Okay, so a little zipper pocket inside, and then that's on the back of the bag. On the front of the bag, you have inside some additional, like, smaller pockets and divider, right? And then on top of that, there's a zippered top. So you can zipper the top so stuff doesn't just fall out, right? And then you put this over. Now, and then there's tripod straps on the bottom. These are kind of useless. I've strapped stuff down here, but they always work themselves loose if you're walking around a lot, right? So you know how that goes. So, any flaws with this bag? Yes. No mesh pockets, like for cables and things, so I like mesh pockets. This doesn't have that. The other thing is, this is Velcro only. Now, huge Velcro patches here. So you're not gonna, you know, it's not gonna just, you have to rip it open. It's pretty secure, especially if you have the zipper top. Even if I don't have the flap on there, your stuff's not gonna fall out. But I would have preferred if they included a buckle here like they did on the Manfrotto, like a little buckle here. So that's one. The other thing with this, it's not really, I think it comes with a rain cover, but it's not really weather sealed. So like these little corners, water can get in, right? If you're in a downpour, this is a problem. If you're not in a downpour, you know, if it's fair weather, you're okay. But if you're in a downpour, water can get in here, so you have to be very conscious of this. Now, when you're carrying this over your shoulder, it does stay fairly secure because the strap holds it. But yeah, it's not it's not secured. I don't know if this comes with a cover or not. But the good thing is they included the dimensions here. So if you're shopping different kinds of bags, And this is a 6.4 liter bag, so it's about half the size of the Manfrotto. But you can see how much can fit in here. This is a good bag. I had one other bag. Is this it? No. But basically, you're going to need a little more than 6 liters, because that's a 6.4 liter bag. But look at the dimensions on this one. And there's only one left, apparently. Okay. Another good bag I can recommend is actually, if you want to spend a little more, if you don't like canvas bags, I don't know. This is a really good bag. It's 15% off with this coupon, right? This is another expandable bag, 7 to 9 liters. So it's about the same size as the bag I just showed you, but when it expands, you know, you get 9 liters. That bag is probably 9 liters when it's all expanded out. But this is another good option. Lots of dividers, lots of pockets, 10 different ways to Sunday. See the mesh pocket? Let's see. Now this one has the removable strap, but the hooks themselves are really secure into the bag. I've never seen, if I was going to get a bag that had hook loop type straps, I would consider this one. And these look like metal. These look like metal hooks. But don't quote me on that. If those are plastic hooks, I would be a little bit weary. But this has really nice sealed rubber zippers. A million pockets, 6 ways to Sunday, okay? Let's see if they show it. Really adaptable for all kinds of things, right? Because it's kind of a modular design. That's why it looks so tactical. Let me see. They don't have a lot of good pictures here. I've seen other pictures of this bag. So the exterior dimensions look pretty similar to the other bag. I like that it has this the straps on the top too, you know, the little rope, so you can stuff things on top too, right? That's where I would probably put my tripod. I probably wouldn't put it on the bottom. But you can see how this expands in upward direction, so you can collapse it down to carry smaller stuff, and then if your lenses are taller or whatever, like some flashes are really tall, you can expand it up. Yeah, the mesh pocket, they put cables in there. Front pocket for your lens caps. And little side pockets inside. More side pockets over here. Just all kinds of, oh, look at this. You can put a gimbal in the front here. Look how they got that mounted inside. I mean, I really like this bag. I should have them send me one so I can review it. This is a really good bag. I'll give you the link to this one too. It goes on sale once in a blue moon, so getting 15% off, that's what? About 20 bucks. Not bad, right? 20 bucks off, so you get this for 120 instead of 140. But this bag is going to be, you know, the VSGO is kind of a high-end bag, right? But those are the two I would recommend. Either that more entry-level Tarion, which is a really well-built, it's really well made for $35 for a canvas bag, and it's a good size. Because other canvas bags, they look about the same and they measure about the same, but that one can pack it in. That bag can really pack it in, because I have another one from Think Tank that's about the same size. It doesn't pack as much. This bag here, this is about the same size bag. Yeah, this is a Think Tank. Same thing, just Velcro front. Looks almost the same, right? Inside is pretty much the same. But I can tell you, if I try to drop my Hasselblad in here, you can see I'm already kind of, yeah, I can get it in here, but it's not as loosey-goosey, right? Now, I will say that the canvas material is a little thicker on this than it is on the Tarion. But the Tarion is more than good enough. Because I know a lot of people bought that bag a couple of years ago when it was on sale for $25. And, you know, I in my photo club, I see them all the time. There's one guy that bought one. He carries a Z8 and all his big ass, you know, Nikon gear in it. You know, the other one, and he loves that bag. He loves that bag. But yeah, this Think Tank, you know, that's $100 bag, right? It is higher quality, but you know, for $35 versus $100, I would get the other one for what you want to do. But those are the two bags I'd recommend for your Mamiya. So I might get that Nikon charger because it looks different. It'll be easy to find. Yep. So I like the hooded cover. Almost must have in the PNW. Oh yeah, yeah, the small rig with the double cap. Yep. At a certain point, you're better off with a backpack with a side zip. Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you're not going out for too long, you know, you can get away with, you know, stuffing your messenger bag, right? Your shoulder bag. And because most of the time the gear is going to be in your hands and you're going to be out walking around. So not all the weight is in the bag. You're going to have your camera and a lens and then maybe one or two lenses in your bag. But if you're going to be out half a day or all day, yeah, backpack would make more sense. Because most of the time you're walking around trying to get to the location, right? So all the weight's going to be inside, you know. So now you're distributing across two shoulders or across two shoulders and your waist, right? If it has a decent waist strap system. So I'm curious about the 24 megapixel Leica APS-C cameras from a few years ago. I saw a TL2 for 1150 and a CL for 1570. Both are body only in secondhand European country, reasonable prices. Yeah, that's not bad. The TL2 I've seen for a little less and for a little more, so that's kind of a middle of the range price. It depends on condition a lot with used gear. But yeah, 1150 is good for that. And the CL 1570 is pretty decent. Yeah, that's on the lower end of the prices that I've seen. I've seen them closer to 18. And both are really, really interesting cameras. The CL looks a lot like the Pen F, right? But it's black. I think they have other colors too, some special editions and maybe a silver one. But it's very similar to the Pen F in size and functionality. It's a Leica, right? And the big difference between the two, because essentially you're going to get the same image quality, same menu system, everything, is the CL has an EVF and more tactile dials, right? Because the dials on the TL2 are kind of embedded and weird. And most of the things you do are going to be on the touch screen on the TL2. Whereas on the CL2, at least you can control aperture, ISO, or whatever with the dials, and just go into the menu for a few things. But both good prices, yeah. Well, the TL2 fair price, depending on condition. Same with the CL. If it's in between good and very good condition, that's a good price. If it's in fair or poor, that's not such a great price, right? I would pay 13, 14 for a fair condition CL. 15, 16 I'd pay for good to very good, and then 18 to 2000 I would pay like, open box type price. Can you give a recommendation on alternative bag demand photo? I have the S5 II build for video with cage, top handle, and Sigma 28 to 70. Okay. The two bags I just showed for the Hasselblad, it'd be very similar because an S5 II with a cage is about the same size as a Mamiya 645. Not as long, right? Because the Mamiyas are kind of blocky, but there's plenty of height. So those same two bags, the one is very tactical looking. The other one is a little more conventional canvas style. But I think the tactical one would be a better choice because a lot of times because you're doing video stuff, right? You got a billion cables and batteries, right? You got to bring with you, like the spare. I don't know if you use those V-mount batteries or not, but if you're doing V-mount batteries or you have to carry extra batteries, you definitely have to bring power banks, right? And HDMI cables, HDMI adapters. Well, not adapters. You have a full-size HDMI. But, lots of cables in video, right? Audio cables going back and forth, HDMI cables going back and forth, maybe to a monitor. Maybe you have follow focus rigs set up, so you need USB-C cables for your power bank, all kinds of stuff. That VSGO would be a really good option for you, I think. And there's a slot there for a gimbal if you want to bring a gimbal with you, right? In the VSGO. So I think this would be a really good alternative. Definitely I would go for this. And it's a little cheaper, right? Like 50 bucks with the discount. But yeah, there was a picture of a guy carrying a gimbal. This is perfect. This is perfect for an S5 II. With look at all this stuff you can do with it. It's crazy. Okay. I use an insulated cooler shoulder bag, camera and all the gear. Okay. It makes sense. I mean, the cooler bag's the only thing I worry about. I mean, some of the cooler bags are very rigid, right? They have they're basically plastic boxes covered with foil. Then other ones are more floppy. So I bought a vintage sewing machine so I could take a stab at making my own custom bags. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I have a giant sewing machine in my basement that it's a long story, but I have a giant sewing machine. Don't know how to use it, but it's like one. It came from a alteration shop that the lady retired and she wanted to keep one of the sewing machines, but she didn't have room for it. So I said, well, you can put it in my basement because I don't use my basement at all. It's just empty down there. So she put it down there, but she doesn't want it. So now I got this giant ass sewing machine. I mean, the motor is like this big on that sewing machine, and it's as big as my desk. Oh, you're in the USA? Okay, Paul. I was thinking of another Paul. I forget his last name. Okay, good. And the 40 to 150 is also a good travel lens if you know you'll have a lot of stuff in the distance. Yeah. But I would That's a good recommendation. It's cheap, right? Unless you're talking about the Pro version, the 2.8. But if we're talking about the 40-150 f4 or the 40-150 kit lens, those are good too. But if you're kind of walking around on tour, your subject distance is going to vary a lot, I would assume. Like you're going to be taking pictures of something right in front of you, and then sometimes you're going to be taking pictures of a landscape, and sometimes you'll be taking pictures of things far away that you want to zoom in on. Does the trigger work with an OM5 or just Sony camera? You have to get the adapter. But the OM5, I don't know if they still, let me look. It's been a while since I've used my EM5 Mark III. That's the mic. Yeah, that's the remote trigger slot. So if the OM5 has this, then all you need is that trigger with the cable, with the 2.5 millimeter cable. Because yeah, that's the remote trigger thing, right? Let me just double check. So for mine, I bought the 3.5 millimeter adapter, or 2.5 millimeter adapter, I should say. Where did I put my camera? Oh, here. So you plug this. There's a plug right here. Just plug that in. I need another hand, like another arm with a hand on it. Let's turn that on. And where's my trigger? My trigger needs some batteries. I always keep batteries charged. Chargeable batteries, man. Oh, there's batteries in here. It was so light, I didn't. So let's see. Oops, let me get it out of live comp mode. Yep. Works perfectly. I'm in high-res shot mode, so now it's like... All right. So, see? Let me get it out of high-res shot mode now. Jeez. It works. Just take my word for it. So look at your OM5. If it has that, if it has this plug in it on the side, it's the second one down, just below the mic jack. This will work fine. See? Okay. They honor eBay refurbished all-state warranty usually. Okay, cool. Thank you. Have you ever had to use a warranty on a camera or lens? Not with the refurbished site. I've used it with OM Systems directly twice. Well, it was Olympus then. I got the camera back door to door 7 days from my house back to my house fixed. In fact, it was the CM5 Mark III. The motherboard inside, they replaced it because it was overheating. It would shoot for a few minutes and then it would overheat and the camera would get hot. Hey Rob, great vids on the IT32 flash. Any thought on the TT Artisan 10mm f2 I'm curious about how sharp it is. Wide open for Astro. You know, I didn't test it for Astro. I've had that lens because I wasn't into Astro back then. But the thing with Astro, you have to look out for coma, right? Corner to corner, it's fine, but it's not as good as the 8mm Pro lens. But the TT Artisan's 10mm f2. Let me see. I got to jog my memory a bit here. If I reviewed that one or not. Oh yeah. Okay. So no, don't get that for Astro. Because you're gonna want to shoot it wide open at f2. It's a little bit soft. It's a little bit soft wide open at f2. I did a video review on it January of last year. And I was testing it on, I think, my Fujifilm. So it's going to be about the same on my on Micro Four Thirds, because the pixel density is about the same. But overall, yeah, it's a little bit soft. I mean, it's good enough for most things, regular photography. But if I recall, for Astro, it's okay. You can get by. If you have that lens, I wouldn't buy another 10mm f2 from another brand, right, or similar. Your best bet, honestly, your best bet is to save up and buy the 9mm f1.7 from Panasonic, and you're done, okay? Because that lens you can buy used for about $400. So yeah, it's probably twice as much as the TT Artisan, but it's worth getting. It's so worth it to get that lens instead of this TT Artisans or any third party. That lens is going to be by far superior. And oh, that's not for me. Okay. Oh, Eric, I didn't know you had a CL and TL. Or do you still have them? Okay. Eric's got, intrigue, right? Has some really nice cameras. Oh man, I envy the cameras you have, man. And thanks for appreciate all. I hadn't heard of this brand before. Yeah, Terrion, it's a good brand. It's a good brand for bags. Looks like a think tank bag that came as an NC bundle with a body. Oh yeah. Oh, so Larry, I just showed my think tank bag, It's the same one. But the think tank's a little bit smaller. Well, I already talked about it. A little smaller, but it's a little better made. The retrospective 7mm shoulder bag. Yep. I think that's what it is. There are now 0 left as I grabbed it. Cool. Said I did like the Domke brand one, but that was, yeah, $200, man. Domke, yeah, that's one of those 25-year bags, right? It'll last you forever. It's the last bag you'll ever buy, but man, $200, and they're not really my style. They just look kind of frumpy to me personally. And Alex says, I'm torn between a Pen F and OM3 as an everyday camera with color creator wheel. I already have an OM1 Mark II for my wildlife trips. I would still get the OM3 over the Pen F. I'm trying to think of a reason why, because if you're talking about the color creator wheel, they both do that competently. They're both nice cameras. The Pen F is going to be more compact though. It's definitely a smaller, lighter camera. I mean, if you measure it out, it doesn't seem like it's much smaller, but in real life, it feels smaller, lighter, more compact, and easier to travel with. But as an everyday camera, it's going to struggle a little bit with the autofocus compared to the OM3, particularly continuous autofocus. So if you use continuous autofocus a lot, which I know you do for birding wildlife, right? But even for regular subjects, I like to use continuous autofocus. Uh, that's where it really struggles, is that the image stabilization is definitely better on the OM3, but not significantly so. Battery life, way better on the OM3. Computational features, way better on the OM3. I mean, fast. Like, you have high-res shot mode on the Pen F, but it's so much faster, like twice as fast at least as the Pen F. So there's a lot of like things like that. But if you prioritize size and weight, I think the compromises aren't that bad. The compromises are relatively minimal compared to the OM3, if size and weight is a priority. If having, workflow performance is more important with autofocus and overall, responsiveness of the camera and things like that, get the OM3, because the compromise of being a little bit bigger far outweighs, so it depends what your priorities are, right? If your priorities are size and weight, Pen F, understand the compromise with autofocus and overall responsiveness and performance of the camera and battery life versus the OM3, it's way better in a lot of ways. Folks, kindly remember to press like. Oh, thank you. I guess it helps. I don't know if the likes help or not, but it helps me mentally. If I get a lot of likes on a video, I'm always a little bit happier for the day. Do you normally buy the extended warranties? I don't buy them, no. I get them with the camera because it like the OM3 came with like extended warranty if I bought it at launch. My OM1 Mark 1 came with the extended warranty because I bought it at the launch. So that's when I get them. But otherwise, I try to buy used gear and just roll the dice, And if it's new, like my EM5 Mark III, thank God, it died within the warranty period of, I think it's a 1-year warranty, but it started struggling within the warranty period. But if it didn't, I'd be out of luck right now, right? So, yeah. I think I'd roll the dice, because if I had to buy an extended warranty for every camera I bought, I'd be more than broke, beyond broke right now. If I was only buying one camera or two cameras, then I would strongly consider extended warranties separately, right? If it didn't come with it. But since I buy so many, it just doesn't make any sense for me financially. Didn't they just announce a new OM3 for Astro? They did. I talked about that in one of my streams briefly. I don't know if it was it was probably a shopping stream. I might have talked about it last week when it was announced. I don't recommend it for Astro. I mean, it's probably fine, because I looked at the page on it on OM Systems website, and it looks amazing. But it doesn't. You cannot. And like I said, I don't know enough about it. But let's assume it's exactly the same as the OM3 I have, save for the sensor, the notch filter, the IR filter that they put in. I feel like you're paying, an extra $1,000 that you don't need, because you can't use the camera as a regular camera without some serious post-processing to fix the colors, because the colors are going to be off with an Astro camera. And so you're paying an extra $1,000, right? It's a $2,500 camera. What they should have done is took the OM5 and made an Astro OM5, because the OM3 has a billion features in it that you're never going to use for Astro. You're not going to use Live ND, Grad ND, focus bracketing and stacking, or in-camera stacking, you're not going to use high-res shot mode that much. One or two things you might use high-res shot, but very rarely would you use high-res shot mode for astrophotography. The shutter is limited to 60 seconds, right? And there's no intervalometer plug, 2.5 millimeter jack. There's no way to get the shutter to stay open for longer than 60 seconds. So if you want to do some serious deep sky astrophotography, you're limited to the 60-second window. And that can be a problem if you want to get really into astro. And if you're spending $2,500 for an astro camera, you're really into astro, and that's a major problem. And $2,500 will buy you one hell of a nice dedicated astro setup with a telescope and computer and auto aligning and all of that. Okay, so it just doesn't make any sense to me to buy an astro camera, regardless of manufacturer. Okay, because I know Nikon had one, Fuji had one. So why spend all that money on a camera when most of the, you're not going to use SH2, SH1, for astrophotography? It just doesn't make any sense to me to pay for all these features you're not going to use in an astro camera. It makes more sense to buy a dedicated astro camera that's like $600. You get a computer and a few other parts, some adapters and mounting, and a telescope for another $1,000. Plug it into your laptop, and you got basically you're like NASA at that point. You can take beautiful pictures. And morning, Rob, and I'll join late. Did you talk about the 2 new filters from OM System? No. I assume you mean for the TG7, right? The microscope thing? I don't know enough about that to talk about it. I hate the clips on my DOM keys. I added some Velcro. Yeah, I'm not familiar with DOM key other than a friend of mine has one. He likes it, but he's kind of melancholy about all his gear. It's like, what do you think about the EM1X? I like it. How about the X Pro 3? No, I didn't like it so much. How about the, you know what I mean? You can go through all his cameras. It's like, yeah, I liked it, or no, I didn't like it so much. But you'll never hear the word "I hate that thing" from him, right? Or "I love that thing," right? It's just he doesn't have any extremes in that sense, or at least he's never showed it to me. All right. Wow, is that the end of the chat? Did I catch up? If there's no more questions, I'll leave it a minute if you have any other questions or want to get recommendations. There are filters released with the Astro but fit multiple cameras. I haven't seen it. Let's see if something comes up. Gigi Wildlife said the M1X is awesome. I know it is. There's so many opportunities for me to buy that thing like at $600 in almost mint condition. I haven't looked lately, but when I was looking, and I was so tempted, but I was like, I just never use it because it's just too big. I use my OM3 now for all my birding and wildlife. They talk about stacking, processing, and high-res shot mode produces. Okay, yeah, high-res shot mode. So here then, I haven't looked at this camera. So stacking with astrophotography, stacking for starry sky. Handheld shooting for starry sky. night view. Those are standard, digital level. All that is standard stuff. I don't know what this stacking for Astro is, other than high-res shot mode. Maybe that's what they're talking about. So this article didn't have anything about the new filters. Sorry, I haven't seen the new filters. I assume, I'm just gonna make an assumption that they're light pollution filters of some kind, right? Light pollution filters, body mount light pollution suppression filter. So you might be talking about this thing, right? This might be one of the two that you're talking about, but generally light pollution filters aren't quite as effective as they used to be because they're designed to filter out like tungsten type lighting, right? That a lot of street lamps used to be used, right? Tungsten lighting. You know, that kind of orangey glow look that you see from pictures. And everybody used to use regular light bulbs. But now, you know, a lot of the cities and landscapes, you know, areas, they use LED lighting. I don't know if these light suppression filters can filter out LED lighting or not. But as far as I know, they don't. So that's why a lot of astrophotographers, they don't really use light pollution filters anymore, because they just don't have the same effect that they used to, because a lot of cities have converted to LED lighting. What did you have the most fun with that you got in 2025? My OM3. If you want to talk about a camera, my favorite lens that I bought was the 60mm macro. So those two, the 60 macro on the OM3, and then because those are kind of independent, really, right? Because the 60 macro will go on any camera. I would love that. I love that lens on any camera body. But camera-wise, the OM3 I bought, the 60 macro, and what else do I take out a lot? Mm, that I love my tripods. I bought a lot of tripods. You know, like this one I bought for 20 bucks. You guys should have got them. When I had this on my deal page, you have to pay $80 to $100 for this now. It was $20. It's a little carbon fiber. I know Jeff got one. How do you like it, Jeff, this tripod? Isn't this awesome? Yeah, so that would be my answer. I don't think I bought much else. I mean, I like my Deluxe 8. I bought that, I think, last year. And I also bought a Canon R8, but I hardly use either of those. Though the Leica is pretty fun when I do take it out. Hi, Rob. My son wants to start a live stream. Would like to know what app you are streaming on. I use OBS. It's free, so just search OBS, and then I stream directly to YouTube from OBS. So I open up the YouTube panel, click live stream, and say go live. It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of tutorials online for this. But yeah, just OBS. And then I'm using a webcam. I love this webcam. Insta360 webcam. It has, it has this functionality where, it's on a gimbal, so it moves around. I closed the app to move it around, but I can pull it up real quick. But like if I want to go over to my table, whoops. Oh, hold on. I gotta move this out. My space here is really tight. There we go. So there's my table. So I was doing that video yesterday on these flashes. So this was the table that I worked from, and I can switch back. It has a bunch of other stuff too. Like if I want to blur the background, I can do this. So now the black background is blurry. I got it at the lowest setting. I can make it really high. It works pretty well, right? I can change the background. Ideally, I could put a green screen back here and it'd be perfect. Because right now you kind of get a little bit of, it's a little mushy the way it is now. It comes with all this stuff. It's got a bokeh filter too. So the bokeh filter, watch, did I just freeze up the stream? All right, never mind. It's got some beauty filters. It's got all kinds of stuff. So let me give you a link to this camera. I would recommend this camera for live streaming. It freaking rocks. The Link Pro 2, oh, they got a new one out. Worth every penny, though. So, Brother Drew, you get this webcam that I just put a link to. Oh, I don't know if you saw the page or not. You get this webcam. They might have the older version for a little bit less. Might be discontinued. I don't know. Forget about the old one. I have the old one and it's freaking awesome. This is even better. It has a bigger sensor. Low light. This has a bigger sensor than mine, I think. I think I paid. It was when mine was on sale for like 150, but it was selling for 200. I don't remember, but I would pay 250. Knowing what I know now, I would gladly pay the 250 that they're asking for this. It's worth every freaking penny. Okay, that and OBS. I'll give you the link to OBS real quick. Here's OBS. You get those two things, and then you can just go onto YouTube, and connecting and all that stuff can be complicated, but there's so many tutorials online to help you get started that he should be able to figure it out. I mean, kids these days are really computer savvy, right? So a light pollution filter and I'm not familiar with the soft filter. And Paul says LEDs don't get filtered by light pollution filters, and I'm no longer using them. So there you go. So Paul's another astrophotographer that doesn't use light pollution filters, because a lot of the LED, everything is LED lighting now. And Jeff says, yeah, brilliant tripod. Isn't it awesome, this little tripod? Like I said, this thing is like $80 to $100 now, you know, under different brands. This was generic. There's no branding on it at all. But now it's not available anymore in the generic, and I don't know how that. It's freaking awesome. I use this all the time. Thanks for the explanation on light pollution. Robin Paul dashed my hopes for better astro near me. Yeah. And I don't know much about it. We are putting together equipment now. We will shop on your page. Thank you, sir. Sure, definitely. But that's all you need is that webcam. Oh, and a microphone. You want to get a microphone. I plugged the microphone. This is a wireless mic. That's one other thing I use. I mean, you can get a really complicated setup, but let me give you a microphone. So I'm going to add that. So I'm going to add the webcam to my deal page just so it's easier to find instead of going back to the chat section trying to find it. So there's the webcam, and these are the mics. These were on sale, like crazy deal. I don't know if they're still on sale anymore. They are. #1 top rated. I need to buy another one because I lost one of the, these things are so tiny. These things are so tiny. I lost this. And it's on sale. I think that's what I paid. I bought mine in October. These work great. So I'll add this to my deal page. And you want to get the one with the charging box, right? This comes with the charging box. It just makes things 1,000 times easier. This is the one you want for $80. So let me add this. So you get this wireless mic, you get that webcam, and then you get the OBS for free. And you got everything you need to do an awesome live stream on YouTube. And if he's doing it on camera equipment, he can come onto my channel. He can be a guest on my channel, and I can promote his live stream for you, or his YouTube channel if you want. I'll be happy to do that. If it's not camera related, it's a little tricky, right? It'd be kind of awkward to bring somebody in, but if he wants to do camera related stuff, I can certainly bring him in. LED lighting was supposed to help with light pollution, but it seems to have only made it worse. Yeah. Oh, I put the links. I put the links. This thing I put it on my deal page, but I can put it in a chat section. Let me get the link. But it's also on my deal page, but I just put it in a chat section. You know, part of the problem with LED lighting or lighting in general is they need to put covers on them so that the lights only shine down onto the ground and minimize how much is, you know, that'll minimize to some effect how much light is going directly into the sky. I mean, you still get the reflection off the ground of the lighting, but it's not near as bad as just having an open bulb, right, sitting out. If they would just do that, that'd be awesome. I thought it was interesting. They have there's some sort of kidnapping case going on here in the U.S. I won't get into it, but the town that this happened in, you know, there's not a lot of street lamps because they were trying to get camera footage from around the streets and city or around that area, and there's some sort of law in that town that you're not, you know, that minimizes the number of street lamps that you can have on the road because they wanted to minimize the light pollution to keep the skies clear, nice and dark. So that, I thought that was interesting. And thanks, Rob. Really appreciate your help. Sure, no problem. And John says, aren't you the guy that did all those how-to videos back in the day? Yes. What do you mean back in the day? It was only a few years ago. But yeah, back in the day, uh, I watched a ton of those. Still watch them. That's cool. Yeah, I did a bunch. It's probably me. I mean, there's a lot of people did videos, but I did a lot of the deep dive stuff, right? Every line item in the menu. Okay, so Dr. Eldon Trey Rosen says, I just had 2 bad experiences with ships from Amazon sold by third party, a DOE lens and an order with a different item that wasn't new in the box on the second. Yeah, I hear that time to time. So that's why if I'm going to buy a lens from, you know, that I'm worried about the warranty, where that's I go to the OM System shopping page, the OM System page on Amazon, and then go from there to whatever link that they provide, that OM System provides. And the link that OM System provided for the 12 to 100 that we did today was shipped and sold by Amazon. So that's going to be new with USA warranty if you do it that way. But yeah, if you just look for a lens and you'll see, wow, this one's like $200 cheaper. It's definitely third party, and it's very likely it's international version, right? The other thing I do sometimes is I look at the seller and I try to find their real website. And if their real website, if on their website they're an authorized dealer for OM systems or whatever manufacturer, my confidence level is a little bit higher, but I still like to go, a little bit more, do a little more due diligence before I make any big purchases. But I've never really bought anything on Amazon that was really expensive like that. I usually go to my local camera store where I know they're an authorized dealer for everything. If I'm buying used gear, I just go to eBay usually. Yes, the Uni has a big telescope there. Oh, okay. I see Rob's name mentioned reference on the OM System Education Facebook page all the time. Oh, really? That's cool. All right, so I'm going to try and do more. I don't know, I say this every year. I'm going to try and do more tutorials and stuff this year. Uh, Primarily maybe some more photo walks that are more educational, right? And like I just did those 2 flash ones because that was part of my resolution this year was um, to make an effort, right? Doesn't matter what the effort is for. Like this weekend, a friend of mine needed some help unpacking because they just moved. And, I was like, I'm not sure I really want to go. I wasn't sure I really wanted to offer help, right? Because it's not a small thing. But I said, my resolution was I got to make an effort. That includes helping my friends and people in general, just helping people in general. But since she was a friend, I said I got to make an effort. So I said okay. So I text her. I said, yeah, let me know, when you're moved in. If you need any help on the moving day, or if you want to help unpack. And she goes, well, moving day I got 5 people coming over. So, but if you want to come over and help me unpack, so I did that. Yeah, educational photo walks would be cool. So I'm going to make an effort on my YouTube channel to kind of get back to what I used to do. And because live streaming is great and it's easy for me because you just sit here for a couple hours, right? But it takes effort to make a video. God, I spent like 10 hours making each flash video took 10 to 12 hours. Never mind, all the time I spent before that figuring stuff out. And they didn't get many views. They usually pick up a little traction later. The educational videos, they don't get a lot of views up front, you know, but they usually pick up a little traction later over time. So because if they never got any views, then I'm like, why am I wasting my time? Nobody's watching them, right? It's not really helping that many people, and I'm putting so much effort into it. But when I see a video get thousands of views, then I'm like, okay, it was worth it. You know, people are watching it, and I did a good job, you know, hopefully. Because if nobody's watching it, that means I did a terrible job. I didn't do a great job with these flash ones. I could have done a little better, but I'm going to keep trying, right? And do better this year. So anyhow, oh, Roberto did a tutorial on OM3. That's cool. I'll have to check that out. I'm going to call it here. So you guys have a good day. Try to do that every day, and you'll have a good life. Eat healthy, exercise. And I'll be back on Friday and this coming Sunday. I hope to see you guys all again soon.